Thank you, Eric. I need to move this because I'm short. I thought I would start off today with telling you a little bit about my art practice first. This was a piece created for an exhibition in Switzerland. It lives in Switzerland, and I've always loved the line of nature, and so while these are reminiscent of rocks, they're not solid, and each one is individually created to tell a story. Usually, this is another piece called Wounded Souls, where in my practice, the type of material, the idea usually always dictates the materials. All the shapes are forms of mouth and messages that communicate anguish, which very much I felt for a good part of my life as an artist. Music, I was trained as a musician, and so I find that my music background impacts my work a lot. This is a kinetic piece called Gavotte. It's a slow dance where it's a welded piece of kind of a slinky combined with a worm. Okay. This piece is called The Ringing Earth, and this exhibition installation was at the Richmond Art Gallery. It's in sonata form, where you see the top slide where you have the ringing earth bells. They're welded steel, and in the A form of the main theme. The B form is the wooded pieces on the wall, and then the C is a variation on the theme. This piece is in the Pollock Neighborhood Park. It's a public art piece, and I wanted to create a space within a space, an outdoor space within a space, and it pays homage to nature. It's a quiet place of repose where you can actually sit in it and meditate. This is the most recent project that I completed. I was requested to create a sign for the Richmond Nature Park. And this sign became something much more engaging. I didn't want to just create a sign, but I wanted to engage the community. And so one of the things I did was go to the schools. I brought in classes and thank goodness, the support of many teachers, classes from 2 different schools in the neighboring areas, and they came to the park. They discovered, they drew, they noticed, they looked, and we did workshops. They talked about what the park meant. They did projects. This is a grade 7 class at Mitchell Elementary School. They shared their ideas of what kinds of things the park meant to them, because it's their park. And so it was interesting to see what kinds of themes they thought they'd like to see. This is one of them. This is the building of a piece called Larva. They liked all the microorganisms that they saw that were disappearing in the pond because the bog level, the water level has been slowly dropping in the nature park. I worked with a lot of city staff. This was another theme that the kids brought up, and this was by a primary student. They liked the idea of a web, the webs everywhere in the park, because they catch everything. And so here I'm trying to lower it out of the studio, because when I built it, I realized I couldn't get it out the door. So it had to go out the front window. This is the city staff. A lot of the park staff collaborated in helping with the installation. This piece is called Nest, and Nest meant for a lot of the community. The park was a nesting place for a lot of animals, for a lot of the life and nature of the animals that live there, and so this pays homage to the homing aspect of the Richmond Nature Park. Other themes that we continue to develop are the things that the students said you couldn't see. They were looking everywhere for tracks. Sometimes they found some, but a lot of times they didn't. In the Richmond Nature Park house, the students worked with different materials where they studied footprints of animals. This piece here is called Larva, and it's the finished piece of what you saw being built in my studio. It's built ring by ring, and it gives you an idea of the color. We're building from one note, meaning the sign, to now a whole line of different sculptures. And this is Footprints. One of the ideas was to create a melodic line of sculpture with dynamics, with color, with different heights, with different kinds of forms. And this one was called Footprints, and it also sits in the front. This is the last of the 7 sculptures. This is called Cycle because everything is born and dies in the park. All the different animals that live there are buried there in the sedimentary layers in the bog, and that was something that was important to the community. The Nature Park Society wanted to us to take note, wanted to take note of the green. They liked the idea of preserving the nature park. It's 200 acres. It's the largest park in Richmond. And so that was something they wanted to celebrate. So the sign, the wooden sign, became this beating sign here, which is the welcoming call. It pulsates all the messages that the park wants to say to anybody driving by, welcoming people coming in. It tells of events that happens in the park. This became a huge symphonic kind of orchestral collaboration. And just to let you know, there were a lot of people involved in the community. There were 4 engineers, 35 industrial personnel, 7 companies, 78 students, 4 teachers, 12 community members, 988 emails, 100 sketches, 6,000 pounds of concrete, 40 feet of steel, 400 kgs of oxygen, acetylene, 350 feet of steel wire, 1.2 miles of assorted steel wire, and hours of working together to create this orchestral collaboration called Green Symphony.